Hello everybody, this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I am currently streaming and usually I close down the chat so I don't get distracted, but this time I actually have the chat open. That's because I'm doing an Angel Arena All-Stars AMA where I'll be answering all the questions people have about our new game mode. About the new mode that me and my friends and a whole bunch of people are working on. So I'm going to be looking over to the left side over here, going to be taking a look at the chat and going to be picking out questions. Then I will read the questions and I will answer them as best as I can. Now, please keep in mind we're still in very early stages of development. And by that, I mean we haven't started development yet. All right? Because of holidays, mostly. We just, people want to chill during the holidays. Nobody wants to actually, develop games during the holidays, so that's why we haven't done anything. Also, I'm still putting the team together, but I'll try my best to answer as many questions as I can. Now, for the YouTube people, please let me know how much you like this. This was more of like a spontaneous idea. I don't think I've done something like this before, but it seemed like a decent idea, so I don't know. You fucking let me know. Right? Anyway, chat, you up? Let me know. Will there be a vote for a kill limit like in Angel Arena Reborn, or will it always be a set limit? This is actually something I've been thinking about a lot, and I am not sure which way I am currently leaning. There's arguments to be made for either side. So saying, there is going to be a set kill limit allows me to balance the game more accurately, right? Since I know the game is always going to last 100 kills, I can now more accurately assess how long the game is going to take, where the power spikes are, right? What kind of power spikes are going to enable ending the game, and all of that, which is all really valuable, right? Those are all things that I would be very happy to be able to properly have under my control. However, the upside of having it be a vote means people can say, hey, I want a longer game, or I want a shorter game, right? And that is the kind of thing that is traditionally really nice in custom games, people being able to decide that. Then again, on the other hand, I have never finished a game in Angel Arena that went to 200 kills. Like the games that go to 100 kills already last like longer than an hour. And do we really want it to be that long? That's a little bit So it's really something I'm still considering, although I am slightly leaning towards having it be just a set amount that I will predetermine, and then adding in an alternative map that is going to be it's just going to be called like map options, or like choosing, I don't know, voting options, where you can decide those things yourself. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Right? Again, I think having it as a set amount would just make development a lot easier, and that is something that's quite valuable. But alright. So yeah. Am I thinking of adding some new heroes into Angel Arena All-Stars? Absolutely. New heroes, in fact, I actually kind of plan on stealing one from this mode here. I really like Joe Black. I think Joe Black is fantastic. I would like to have Joe Black in the game. However, new heroes are going to be one of the last things, right? Everything else takes priority because everything else is just more realistic, right? You gotta be realistic with your expectations and what you can expect to get done. And as such, new heroes are gonna be something we'll do in a while. I don't expect to get around to that for at least another month, maybe two, probably more than a month, honestly. Right? It's gonna be a little bit. Something I definitely want to do. I don't just want to take, that's where the All-Stars parts comes from, right? I don't just want to make new heroes up. That's actually something I have very little interest. I have very little interest in creating a new hero from scratch. Instead, I want to take existing heroes, existing concepts that have, that are part of different Angel Arenas, and then add them into our game. So that's kind of the idea there. Now, what are your thoughts on comeback mechanics? Or you don't want the game to be more like current Angel Arena where it's pretty hard to come back? Well, I don't think anybody wants to have a game that is pretty hard to come back in, right? Like any developer is gonna be like, hey, I want people to have the opportunity to come back into the game. Now, I have a bunch of ideas for this already, and I regularly post my thoughts about this on Facebook, right? Like anytime I have like a crazy idea for something I want to do, I post it on Facebook. But currently I have two main plans in regards to making comebacks, something a little bit more expected. Not really expected, no, that's the wrong word to use, but something more possible, right? So the first thing is, this one is set in stone. It will absolutely happen. I will 100% do this. But I'm going to make it so that if you actually want to win the game, you need to first reach the kill limit and then win a duel, right? Currently in Angel Arena, you just reach the kill limit, which I think is flawed design. I don't like that too much, because let's say the kill limit is 100, right? And I am at 80 kills, you're at 20. But now the team of the 20 kills have managed to get their late game heroes online, right? And they're starting to wreck the other side. Well, reasonably speaking, it's just too late, right? Like, they're probably still going to lose pretty badly simply because it's just too late. You're just not going to be able to pull this off since the enemy team already has such a big kill lead. And I don't really like that. I think that is just something, well, okay, well, so unless I push hard in the early game, I'm just never going to be able to come back. Now, that doesn't sound that fun now, does it? So a way of changing that is making it so that to win, you actually need to win a duel, right? If you win a duel, then you can, you know, okay, let me go and lay out exactly how I want this to go down, because I've got this, like, figured out entirely. Let's say you reach the kill limit. You reach 100 kills out of your 100 kill limit. What happens then is a duel triggers immediately, right? As soon as you reach the kill limit, a duel triggers. And that duel will trigger even if you're in the middle of a duel, right? People like have asked that question before, which I think is kind of a funny thought, right? But yes, even if you are in a duel, then that duel will cancel and a new final duel will trigger. That final duel will be kind of what gives you the option to actually win the game, right? So if you are at 100 kills, you go into that final duel, you try to win the duel. If you win the duel, game over, you won the game. If you don't win the duel, game continues on. Now, there would be a problem with this in terms of, well, you know, the team that was winning up to this point now is kind of in a situation where what are they gonna do to, like, proceed to win from there? And don't worry, I thought this one through too. Because now, instead of having a kill limit for those people, what they are going to try to do is they're going to, like, if they get any further kills, every time they reach like 10 more kills or 5 more kills, we'll have to figure out the exact number. But anytime they reach like 10 more kills, right? So once they're at 110 or 120 or 130, a new duel triggers. So they can continue to pressure their opponent, they can continue to force fights, and then try to force more duels that way. Which is going to create a situation where people, suck it. I'm going to be taking that last hit. But that's going to make it less so that, you know, you have to just wait for the duel. Instead, you can still continue to play to win, even though you've reached the kill limit already. However, and this is what I like as a comeback mechanic, if the other team was playing for the late game, and now is so much stronger than you that you cannot ever win a duel, well, I guess then you lose, right? Then they'll keep playing until they reach the duel limit as well. And once they reach the duel limit as well, both teams now need to only do one thing to win the game, that is win a last duel. Then you have that last duel, and whoever comes out victorious ends it. What I like about this is it makes it a lot more, you know how the current Angel Arena just kind of ends? It's just kind of over. It doesn't feel like there's like a final fight or anything fancy. It's just done. Yeah, I don't like that. But if you have that final duel, then all of a sudden it feels like there's like, oh, there's something coming up. You know, there's the final fight, the last boss battle. That's what I'm going for. There's also going to be a secondary win objective. That secondary win objective will be a super hard boss. And this is something that everybody needs to understand. Like, people have, every time I talk about this, people are like, oh, you know, but what about this? What about it? You need to understand, this boss is super hard. He is stupidly, overpoweredly hard, right? Now, if you manage to kill this boss, then you win the game. right? The game is just over right then and there. There's going to be a boss somewhere on the map, probably. Not 100% certain on that. Yeah, the previous thing, I'm 100% certain on. This one, okay. But there's probably going to be a boss somewhere on the map that if you kill him, you just instantly win the game. Now, as I mentioned, this boss is stupidly hard, right? He's supposed to come into play 1 in 1,000 games, right? This boss is supposed to get killed once in every 1,000 games. That's how strong he is. You need your entire team to be 6-slotted. You need everybody on your team to be ready to fight this thing, and if you aren't, then you'll just fucking get run over by the guy. If the enemy team comes in to interrupt you, then you will also get run over, because now you're fighting their team and that boss. No way. The boss is so difficult that it is easier to just win using the kill limit. It is a completely unreasonable thing to actually play for him. That boss is supposed to be something that, again, only happens once every 1,000 games. But when it happens, it's supposed to be this like mind-blowing thing. I cannot believe that somebody managed to kill him. And this is something we are going to have. We're going to have very accurate stat tracking. Even though we haven't really started developing the actual game mode yet, our programmers have been looking into figuring out how to properly stat tracks, and we're going to be tracking stats for everything. So with that boss, once I see that he's dying 2 times out of 1,000 games, like 1 time in every 500 game, once every 500 games, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make him harder. I'm going to keep making him harder until he dies once every 1,000 games. And he's just this unfathomably ridiculous being that if you manage to kill it, that is a game that is a story. That is a game that you absolutely have a story to tell about. Something where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they managed to pull that off. And that, to me, serves multiple purposes, right? First of all, it's something that gives the game more of a storyline through gameplay, right? Like, I feel like the best video game stories you can have aren't the stories that the games tell, but the stories that you tell about the game, right? That's something why, for example, I actually like Fire Emblem a lot. Not because of the stories in the game, but because the game lets me like tell a story about it afterwards, where it's just like, oh my god, my one character here like almost died and it's permadeath, you know, like it's kind of a big deal, we don't want that. But then he managed to like crit his way through 5 different enemies and somehow managed to beat them. Or actually, something that has literally happened to me before is I was playing Fire Emblem, Tome of Hero, no, Hero, Tome, oh, there it is. Right, I was playing Fire Emblem and I remember I had a guy positioned in like a really, what I thought was safe spot, and then he just like dies because 3 enemies in a row got critted by him, which made space for the next enemy to come in and shit like that. But yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and play the safe. We don't want to be taking too much damage here. As I mentioned, right, this boss is going to be something that is absolutely a rarity. It also serves a psychological purpose. So, the thing is, right now in Angel Arena, again, if your enemy is ahead a lot in kills, it feels a little hopeless, doesn't it? It feels like, well, what's even the point? Right? We are not actually gonna be able to end this game. We're not gonna be able to win just because they are so far ahead. Well, this is what this would change, because now people have this mentality, right? It's just purely a psychological thing I'm talking about here, right? But people will think about it and be like, oh, wait. But what if we can somehow pull off killing this boss? Right? I mean, if we can't do that, then the game isn't over. Then the game is gonna keep going. And that would just be crazy now, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be. And that's exactly what I want. Alright, I'm like super dead. But I'm fine. I got the ancients. Like, I stole the ancients. I'm absolutely fine with that. But yeah, so those are my 2 current ideas in terms of enabling comebacks. And then, of course, like the pure hard number stuff is still something I'll have to figure out. But I can't really tell you anything about that right now, since that is really something that I'll have to figure out once we actually properly start development. But those are like my 2 big ideas to enable it. So yeah. Next question. Do you plan on having god heroes that need a boss to be defeated to access? I like the idea a lot. I think it's a cool idea. So, currently, yes. Not sure how we are going to implement it, but yes. There's actually, so I played a little bit of an older Angel Arena yesterday, And by older, I mean a Warcraft 3 version from, I think, 2008. And one thing they had in that mode is... Okay, interesting. But you kill... But what you can do in that mode is after you kill a boss, or after you kill certain bosses, you can actually transform into that boss, right? So maybe we'll do that. I like that idea, right? Instead of having gods, you can go into an area where the gods are standing and you can choose one to fight, and then you need to defeat the god to be able to transform into him. That might be a little bit more interesting. Although, again, right now, I don't really have anything specific figured out yet. Why make the development of Angel Arena public, but the testing for the game itself private? Why not make both public to begin with? Well, okay, so let me go ahead and clear up any misconceptions there by properly explaining how we're going to go about it. We're going to have Angel Arena All-Stars be completely open source. This includes everything. This includes music, art, code, announcers we're going to make, general voiceovers. We're going to create new models. We're going to create a whole bunch of shit, right? And that will all be publicly available. However, testing will not be, apart from when it is, right? So we are going to keep the game private to our development team in the beginning. However, I don't plan on having it that way forever, right? Instead, we're going to keep it private in the beginning, and then as we continue developing it, we're going to have testing sessions, big testing sessions where we... Oh, can I get him? Nice. We're going to have big testing sessions where we'll have the game be publicly available, right? Where everybody can join. I'm going to be hosting streams where I'll be, you know, playing Angel Arena All-Stars, and anybody from the chat can come in and play with us, right? So we're not going to keep it entirely private. Oh, well, good dual timing, I guess. Fuck yeah. However, the thing is, we don't want to release the game too early and then have a subpar product. This is why we're doing it this way, right? We don't want to put it out immediately and then people kind of forget about it and there's no hype and there's no interest in it anymore. Instead, I also am going to break his ultimate. Get wrecked. Yeah, what I did right there is I used my Silver Edge to break him, which disables the automatic proc from his ultimate, which he didn't account for, and as a result, his ultimate didn't cast itself, but he didn't cast it either, and so I got the kill. Yeah, without him using his ultimate. Anyway, what was I saying? What was I? I was saying one thing. Shit, I got distracted by my sick play. Oh man, let me go and get a Daedalus really quick. Let me go and get my Daedalus really quick. Oh right, the development. There we go, I got it figured out. We want to keep a certain hype and such around. You know, we want to keep people interested. However, the very early stages of the game probably just aren't going to be fun. Right, let's just be honest about it. In the very early stages of a game, it's just not going to be that fun. And that is the criteria we have set to ourselves, right? So we'll have these regular events where you can come and test the game as well, right? But we're going to have the game publicly available for a few hours and then we're going to make it private again. And then, once we have reached a stage where we play the game and we can say, this is a fun game to play, right? Like, we are having fun playing this game. Once we reach that, then we are going to make it public. Then we are going to make it publicly available to anyone. However, we want that first. We want to be able to tell people that it's a fun game before we make it available to everybody. That's our logic. Oh, shit. Alright, time to go. Sorry, boys. Well, sorry to you, too. Ooh! Let's get out. Let's get out. Are you gonna be the one setting up and controlling the GitHub repository? That's probably gonna be Chris. How will we know the link? Will probably be... I'm not sure yet. Not sure yet, honestly. I've been thinking about like hosting a newsletter, maybe a website, all kinds of stuff. So many like possibilities of doing this. I haven't decided on one yet. I haven't gotten around to that. Will you add a time-based mode, like most kills in 30 minutes or farm for 30 minutes, then a big duel that decides to hold the rapier where your team has to hold the rapier for a specific amount of time? Well, all of that sounds fun. No. Like, no plans for that at all, and I don't think I will add something like that. Just making it a good game to begin with, I feel like is difficult enough. Once we have reached really the end of development, where I'm like, yeah, okay, this is great now, right? Now we're just doing fancy shit. Then maybe we can do some crazy stuff, but outside of that, no. How would you make supporting in the late game a thing? I want to add in more utility items, right? So first of all, in this Angel Arena, people die very easily, right? It is so fucking easy to just kill a guy. Something I want to change. Something I want to change quite a bit, right? I think having a lower power level will make the game more fun. And by lower power level, I mean have it be more difficult to kill. So I'm going to make it more difficult to kill people, right? Which also buys the supports more time. And with more time, they can spend. They are going to be more able to actually do supporting. They are actually going to be able to now use all of the fancy support items that we're going to make available, which I will make a lot of cool support items, right? Hopefully, at least, right? That's my plan. Going to make a lot of support items that then people will have access to and will be able to use. You know how the current Angel Arena only upgrades stuff like fucking crits and butterfly. Yeah, I'm gonna get you some upgrades for Veil of Discord and Ether Lens and for what's it called? Actually, I mean, just go through the shop here, right? Kalima Cape, Forge Staff. All of these things are going to have upgrades available to them that will enable utility in the late game. And that late game utility will then make it so that the supports can actually do supporting. Because right now, supporting in Angel Arena, this Angel Arena here has 3 viable late game builds. Right-clicking, Dagoning, Radiancing. That's it, nothing else. Right? And that's something I want to change. I want to make the late game be more open to different things. But it's actually a really interesting case. So, Super Smash Bros. Melee. You guys, of course, I would be talking about Melee again, right? But Super Smash Bros. Melee is actually a very interesting case in regards to this. Because in Super Smash Bros. Melee, they added in more defensive options from the previous games. Right, so Melee is the most aggressive game in the entire Smash franchise, right? Now you would be like, oh, well, okay. I mean, that's because with Melee they added in more options to be aggressive. And while that is true to some extent, Melee actually added a lot more options to be defensive, and then these defensive options enabled more interesting fights. That is what I'm going for, right? I want to add defensive options to enable more interesting fights. Yeah, it's kind of thought process there. I don't know if that made any sense at all, but anyway, we should move on. I don't want to talk too much about that. But yeah, I want to make sure that all of the support items that are in Dota, I want to have proper upgrades, right? I don't want the shop to ever look like this, where I click on a Rod of Atos and I can upgrade it into an Orchid. Well, fucking hell, what is a support gonna do with an Orchid? That's not the point of the Atos, right? I don't want the Veil of Discord to only be a Veil of Discord, and I don't want what's it called? The Force Staff to only go into a Hurricane Pike. I want it to be more open to supporting. Okay, will there be a proper... Wait, well, I should need to like read these first before... Hello, what are you doing there?
I just wanted to use this. Also, I burnt my finger.
Oh, that sucks.
Really badly.
No. You're really just trying to kill yourself today, aren't you? Alright. Yeah, she burned her finger, cut herself, and fell into the snow today, so... Good work, we are all proud of you.
Thanks, though.
Alright. Any ideas about map? That is one of the big things I'm currently thinking about how to do it. This is really one of my big concerns. So, everybody do an experiment with me right now. Right? Do a thing with me. Go into Google. Go to Google and type in Angel Arena Warcraft 3. Just this. And then look at all the images, right? Go on to Google Images. Look at the images. You will notice that a lot of the Angel Arena maps look quite similar, right? They always have the spawns in the middle center, right? In the right and no, not in the middle center. The right and the left center. They have bosses above and below that, right? And in the middle, there's always a big duel-like area where where another very powerful boss is. Also, we're getting Radiance because Radiance is so fucking dumb. So level 2, yeah. God, Radiance. So, I want to stick to this traditional Angel Arena map, right? I think there's a lot of merit to sticking to this traditional Angel Arena map, because I want it to actually look like Angel Arena. Our Angel Arena wanted to feel like Angel Arena. However, how exactly I'm going to do that is something I'm still working on. And this is really going to be the first thing that I'll have to figure out and that I'll have to work out with the team after I'm done putting the team together. Which, again, that is still my main thing right now. What I've been doing in regards to the team is I have gone through my 700 emails and I have read every single one of them, and I have messaged people out of these 700 emails. I have messaged people, and then what I did with every single person that ended up on the team is I invited them to kind of like an interview on Discord, and then I spent 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes talking to them, explaining the project and telling them what they can do, how they can help us out, and then also how exactly we're going to go about handling the project. Which, as you might guess, that takes quite a bit of time. But I wanted to make sure that everybody that works with us is actually good and is aware of what we are trying to accomplish. I didn't want to just pull in random people without, you know, really spending too much, yeah, I don't know, like without spending too much thought on it. I wanted to really be careful with everything. So yeah, that's what I've been doing so far. That's why with a lot of things I can't give you like super precise ideas yet, just because this is where the bulk of my time has gone. Alright, next. What's next? Let me actually go ahead and have a sip of water while you guys figure out a new question.
Better in our entrance.
Oh, we gotta go to the door. Will there be a tutorial? Not in the game, but I absolutely plan on making some videos. Well, no, I don't think a tutorial in the game is really going to work. I'm very scared of this fucking Abaddon, man. Oh, he already used his ultimate. That sucks. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm gonna try to take down as many of them as I can. Yeah, got one, I guess. How will you handle the unlimited creep spawning? I got an idea for this, and I'm very happy with it. So, one of the issues Dota modding in general has is that Dota doesn't deal well with a lot of units on the screen, right? If there are too many units on the screen, the game just kind of dies, which is a bit of a problem. Now, in Angel Arena, of course, as you can see, there's just like this endless spawning of creeps, and you can farm that, of course, but if you don't, right, if you're busy fighting, then they just stack up and eventually the game just goes to shit. Which is an issue, right? That also, because of that, that limits us in terms of what we can do with the map. Like how much other stuff we can put on the map, because with the endlessly spawning creeps, eventually it's going to be overloaded, and the more we put on the map, the quicker it's going to be overloaded. Well, this is where my idea comes into play. What we're going to do is, after a certain point, after the creeps have reached a certain camp size, right? After there's a certain amount of creeps in the camp, and I'm just gonna use a random number. This is not actually the number I'm going to use. This is just some random bullshit I'm gonna come up with, okay? But after you reach, let's say, 15 creeps in a camp, instead of continuing to spawn new creeps, what's going to happen is that all the creeps in the camp are going to acquire the power that the creeps in the camp have, or like that the creeps that would be spawning have, I'm gonna add it on top of their own as well as the bounty, right? So let's say we have 15 creeps in a camp, right? And another 15 would spawn. Completely unrealistic, of course, but let's just say that, right? And another 15 would spawn. So instead of having it be that those other 15 just spawn, and now we have 30 creeps in the camp, making it just a giant fucking mess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that let me go and get my thing here. I'm going to make it so that the next time creeps spawn, right? Since we're adding another 15 creeps, that means that the overall fighting level of the camp goes up by 100% as well as the overall bounty in terms of golden experience. So the power of the creeps will now just get added to all of the power of the creeps that are already in the camp, right? Added on top of that. So now all the creeps in the camp are twice as powerful. They have twice the HP, twice the damage, right? They also all gain twice the bounty. They all gain the bounty and the experience that the creeps that would have spawned would have had. But instead of those creeps spawning, it's just added on top of the creeps that are already in the camp. This is going to decrease the overall amount of creeps on the map while still keeping the endless spawning going, right? That's kind of, I think, a pretty, I don't know, it's just something that is pretty Angel Arena-ish, right? Like, to me, that's a pretty defining characteristic of this game mode. And yeah, so that's kind of how I wanna fix that issue, right? We have 10 creeps in a camp. 1 additional creep would spawn, right? So instead of 1 creep spawning, all of the creeps in the camp gain 1/10 of that creep's power added to their own, as well as 1/10 of their bounty. So if you keep it spawning endlessly, then eventually those creeps will be insanely powerful, but they also have the same bounty they would have otherwise. This also kind of nerfs down Battle Fury and Holy Book and all of that stuff. I don't know if you're going to have a Holy Book, but that is also going to nerf down cleave farming, which I think is probably a good idea, because cleave farming is just a little bit silly. But yeah, that is kind of the idea there. And of course, if the camp ends up being too big, right, so you like end up... by the way, look at this. If you skill this, 2 times Dragon Blood, HP and armor. This right here gives me 32 armor, so it's just like, boom. I love that, so I'm playing Dragon Knight. But yeah. So that's my idea there. I feel like it should work pretty well, honestly, but... if you let it spawn too big, right, and then the creeps are too powerful for you to kill, then I have one thing to tell you. Get good. Right? I mean, that's really on you. You gotta farm those camps. You gotta farm those camps. Maybe we'll put a hard limit on top of it, if it ends up being something that actually comes into play. Right? If it actually ends up being something where people are like, well, shit, you know, like, more often, like, it happens frequently that the creeps just become too powerful to fight. Well, in that case, we can put a hard limit on it. Right, that maybe the creeps don't become more powerful after a certain point and they only get the bounty or something. But for now, until that happens, I am perfectly fine with this, with the solution of get good. Oh shit, yeah, I'm like so fucking dead. Yeah, alright. The Radiance. Radiance is burning us down. What are your ideas for an ending screen? Will you be doing something like pimp my peons screen showcasing the winning team, or you just have it stick to the basic end screen with items GPM? I actually like pimp my peons screen. That's what I had in mind. But I don't really think that's that important. We'll figure something out. I mean, we got artists on the team. I'll just tell one of them to come up with something cool, and hopefully they will be able to do so. And yeah. Also, people are asking about the name, you know, Angel Arena All-Stars. I know that they already are our game modes with that name, but... dude, those game modes aren't even being developed anymore, right? And if I had to... like, if because you came up with the name first, like 5 years ago, you now have dips to it forever, that doesn't really sound right to me, right? That just doesn't really sound like... dude, no, that's not how it works. Like... we're just gonna use the name. Like, I have no problem with that. I don't really care. Right? Like, If they were still doing something with the game, then yeah, okay, then I would be looking at a different name. But seeing as they aren't, I really just don't give a shit. Yeah. Oh, man. What other ideas have you that you have about the boss fights? Oh, that's a fun one. Okay, boss fights. So I want to have the boss fights not just be this, right? You see how intricate and interesting this boss fight is. Wow, I'm pressing so many buttons. Look at all my buttons. I am so good at this. Truly, a battle for the ages. Look at this. Wow, I am truly the best at video games. Ha! This Omni Knight. Wait, let me go then. Boom! I pressed a button and another one. Oh my god! Crazy, I know. So I would like it to be a little bit more engaging than this right here. Oh, there's a spectre. Well, that's rude. Yeah, there's no way I'm just dead. Yeah. I want the boss fights to be a little bit more interesting, right? Like, our bosses are gonna have a proper AI, they're gonna have abilities and spells that they use. I want to actually make some bosses that are... Okay, let me go ahead and talk about bosses in general first, right? So, you know how currently in Angel Arena, right, in all of the Angel Arenas I know of, the bosses are just kind of like strong dudes on the map, and they're always like kind of the same power level. What I want to do... Oh, well, actually, if I say all the Angel Arenas I know of, then I mean all of the ones in Dota 2. Because, again, I played a little bit of Warcraft 3 Angel Arenas, just, like, looking around a bunch. And, they aren't like this, necessarily. They are a bit different to some extent. Really depends on which one you're playing, but the ones I tested out were different. Still... Oh, that was a problem. Actually, I think I can take these two. Yeah, these are the two I'm the least worried about. Okay, nice. That's fine. Okay, you did. Yeah, I can totally take you. Get out. Dude, my team is dying, but that's just because these people are abusing the Radiance, like... I'm so tired of the fucking Radiance shit. Radiance, Radiance, Radiance. It is very overpowered. Alright, anyway. What was I saying? So what I'm going to... this is our current plan. What we're gonna do is we're going to change how bosses work. There's not going to just be bosses on the map as like these huge-ass monstrous beings that are static, right? They are just big and they're just strong, and that's it. Instead, we plan on having different tiers of bosses. So the bosses that spawn at minute 1 of the game are going to be tier 1 bosses. A tier 1 boss is a boss that is relatively weak and honestly won't even drop any boss items, right? A tier 1 boss will just drop regular shit, right? Like just regular items you could buy, and just kind of counts as like a different way of farming. In my opinion, that's like what I currently have in mind, right? Where they're just like a different option in terms of farming. After you kill a tier 1 boss, the next time a boss spawns at that location, it's not going to be another tier 1 boss. Instead, it's going to be a tier 2 boss. And then the next time, it's a tier 3 boss, and so on, right? The bosses continue to become more powerful throughout the game. But not just by getting better numbers, but instead by actually becoming, like, turning into different bosses. I was like, God, fucking Radiance, this is so lame. Dude, I can switch to Naga and wreck you with that shit. This takes literally no skill. This is very frustrating. Radiance is so fucking broken. It is so dumb. It is so dumb. But, yeah, so that's kind of like how I plan on approaching the bosses. The bosses aren't just going to be like straightforward dudes that you right-click on. Instead, there's going to be different tiers of bosses. And, I actually plan on taking a decent amount of inspiration from bullet hell games. And there's actually one game I've been playing a lot of recently that I think is quite relevant to this, which, I don't know if you guys know this game, but it's called Fury. It's written like so. Fury? So like Fury, but with an I instead of a Y. Right? But, that game is really, really interesting because it's just like a boss rush game. It's just like a boss after boss fight after boss fight, right? And each boss fight is very long. Like each boss fight takes like 15 minutes to complete. Very cool game. I recommend you check it out. But I don't want to go too much into talking about the game. I just want to tell you where like a bit of my inspiration right now is coming from. Very fun though. Actually, I'm very happy with that game. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Super fucking hard. Anyway. I like the idea of having bullet hell boss fights, right? So having a boss that is just firing a shit ton of projectiles at you, and the point is not to kill the boss, right? Like, maybe you don't even get an opportunity to kill him, right? Maybe that's not the point. Instead, it is just about surviving the bullet hell, right? So that could be one of those bosses you can do at level 1, right? So at level 1, hey, okay, I guess if you get hit by one of the projectiles, you're dead, and you don't really have upgraded boots yet, so it's gonna be pretty hard to like make sure you don't ever get hit by one. But if you're good enough, if you can actually properly dodge the entire bullet hell, shit, you just killed a boss at level 1, right? And that is the kind of thing I'm looking for, right? I want actually something I'm also going to do is I'm going to have like very vocal bosses. I want a boss that like taunts you as you fight him. I have an idea for a boss that is going to abuse voice chat, right? I want a boss that like talks to the players directly. I want a boss that I want definitely caster-based bosses. I want multiple bosses that fight together, right? I want bosses that aren't just one guy, but instead it's a group of people, like 2 or 3 of them. So, no, maybe there's a boss that's like a combo of 2 heroes, and one of the heroes is not like 2 bosses, right? Like one of them is just a guy that runs in and he will like constantly charge you down, and in the background he's getting buffed up, right? But you know, like the buffing guy is relatively weak, so you need to try and kill him first, else the other guy will just run you down and destroy you. But you need to, if you go for him, then as soon as you do that, like the guy that is charging you down, like turns around and attacks you instead, and like pushes you away, and is just trying to like disrupt you and keep you away from that healing dude, right? Like his abilities are gonna be mostly movement based and mostly like pushing people around based, like skewer and something like that. You know, how does that, you know how Beastmaster's roar works and like pushes people away? Like maybe he has a charge that pushes everything away and that kind of stuff. All kinds of cool things like that I have in mind. And we'll of course have to wait and see until, you know, like we properly start development, how many of them are possible. But that's the core thing that we've got. We've got a development team that is actually just a little bit dumb, right? So our 2 main developers both have decades of professional programming experience, right? Like they've been doing this forever. Like they are old people. Chris is not gonna appreciate me saying this, but Chris, you're fucking old. But yeah, they have so much fucking professional programming experience. Not only that, but the only thing that they kind of don't have, like the only skill they don't have is they aren't familiar with the software, right? They haven't worked with Dota before, but we actually have the guy that is making Epic Boss Fight helping us out with the coding, right? So the guy that is in charge of Epic Boss Fight is going to be consulting with us and letting us know how to best program in this game. And as you might be able to tell, the guy that's making Epic Boss Fight is probably a good person to help us out with boss fights, right? But yeah, he's not going to do any programming himself. He is just there to enable, like to work as a consultant and let the other 2 main programmers that again they're just incredibly good, you know, do their job better. That is the thought process. And yeah, okay, Omni Slash. It doesn't matter. Look at this. I don't die to Omni Slash. I die to fucking Radiance. Like 2 ticks of Radiance. With bosses that speak to the players, would you not need voice actors that can speak all of the 4 languages you specified, or would you keep it as English only? You have a point. I have considered this. I am probably going to just keep it in English. While we're translating it into 4 different languages, I don't think it is a problem if the boss fights are just only English for the guys that are actually going to have like a lot of voice lines, right? Just because I just don't see an issue with that, right? I'm sure Nobody's gonna be like, oh, well, it's impossible to play now. No, right? That's not gonna happen. What about a boss that will copy your hero while you're fighting him? That's actually a thought I've had too. Like a boss that you can. Also, what are we gonna drop here? Gonna drop the Minimis. I don't think you need that as Joe Black. Instead, we're gonna go ahead and buy a holy book. Yes, thank you. Now I'm gonna need a whole bunch of levels, Summer. I would really appreciate it if you could not do this, but let's go and just sneak in here. Hello. What's up? That's nice. That's good. What was I talking about before I got fed soup? Chris? Yeah, no, I remember that, but there was a specific thing I was talking about. Ah, whatever.
Sorry.
Bosses, I'm sure something there. Something bosses. Something bosses. I need creeps. There's like no fucking creeps and I need some. Oh, man. What was I talking about? I push 1 to nominate Frey for voice acting. Frey and Savis are both going to do voice acting. Frey is going to be doing an announcer, and Savis is also going to be doing an announcer. We're going to have 2 separate announcers for the separate sites. And yeah. So they're both going to be doing voice acting. I hope that satisfies that. Is that alright? But yeah. God, maybe I shouldn't have switched. I feel like if I can catch up, then I'll be fine. It's just the radiances again. Oh, thank God. This is actually what I needed. Oh, that is so nice. Look at this. I just leveled up hard. Fucking sick. Talking about boss design and programming. Yeah, but I think I was mostly done. Right? I feel like if nobody can remember what I was talking about, then I'm sure it wasn't that important. Oh, man. Also 16,000 casual damage. Oh, God. I'm too weak. I don't have any items. I need more items. Ooh. Never mind. But yeah, translating into 4 different languages, and we're just gonna keep that to mostly the text-based stuff. Again, I don't really see much of a reason to like translate the voiceover. I get what you're saying, but I feel like it's gonna be alright. I don't even know if you can translate that. Well, you probably can. God, Radiance, this is so dumb! I'm switching to Naga, fuck this shit. Guys, I tried. I can't switch to Naga. Fuck. Hero switching is not enabled. Well, because the game mode doesn't have it anymore, because... I don't know. It just doesn't have it anymore. Yeah, we're not winning this. We got Radianced. We got Radianced, boys! What are your... I have a friend that has played Angel Arena for a very long time, and he lost them all. When I told him about you making a new Angel Arena, he was skeptical. My question is, how are you going to appeal to the OG Angel Arena players? Well, it's actually going to be pretty straightforward. If you are an OG Angel Arena player, then I'm not telling you to like our game. Instead, I want to tell you to come participate in our game. Help us develop it. The process is going to be open source. We're going to have a Discord, a public Discord that you, just like anybody else, can join and help us out with the development. Alright? So you are skeptical of how the game is gonna go? You think we might be taking it into the wrong direction, and you know you're an OG player and you really wish you had the old Angel Arena back? Then don't complain. Come help us. Alright? Come help us. Because that is an option you've got. So yeah. That's what I have to tell you. Fuck that. I'm gonna go Radiance. I've had enough of this bullshit. I think Radiance on Joe Black is actually gonna be pretty solid, so let's go with that. Okay, fuck this. Fuck this, we don't need that, we don't need this. What we're going to need though is that is expensive as all hell. And I can't even afford the full power treads.
Oh, you got it?
Okay. Alright, we got a Radiance now. You should check out World of Warcraft bosses. Absolutely, that sounds like a fine idea. Absolutely. How will you prevent fountain camping? We have a lot of ideas for that already. I'm not sure which one exactly we're gonna go with, but lots of ways to do it. Honestly, preventing fountain camping isn't that difficult. Like, it's really not that hard.
Will it be that the bottom
It's really not that hard. And I have no idea when this is going to be ready. To anybody that's asking when it's gonna be ready, no fucking clue. There you go. Oh, wow! I have 80% damage reduction! 80% damage reduction! Gotta be shitting me. That's dumb. How do we prevent spawn camping? Dude, there's so many ways to do it. Like, honestly, just make it, like, for example, make this area here a high ground. Right? And put some creep camps here. Put down some towers. Make the game more balanced overall. Right? Lots of ways to do it. I'm not worried about spawn camping at all. If that ends up being an issue, then we'll fix it when it becomes an issue. But I don't think it will be. Well, I speak Portuguese, would you like some help? Actually, the Portuguese team is already ready. But yeah, again, as I was saying, if you are an OG player, then don't show up after we're done developing and tell us, well, this sucks. You should have done this and this and this. Show up at the very beginning. Show up right now. Join the Discord as soon as we make it public. Join the development. If your ideas are good, we'll make you part of our team. And you can just have input on everything. Right? You can have input on everything. You can make it the game that you want it to be. Don't just sit back and complain though. If you just sit back and complain, then it's really your own fault that it didn't end up working out the way you wanted it to. That is really on you. Also, yeah, I've just given up. I'm just buying Radiance now. Like, this shit is so dumb. I hate it, but gotta play to win, right? Gotta play to win. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play to win. You wanna help with creating bosses? Join the Discord as soon as it's publicly available, right? Join. Participate. Everybody will have an opportunity to. Everybody will be able to participate. Right? And don't worry, we are going to be taking you seriously. And now, in case you're wondering how exactly we are going to do that, keep a track on my channel. I will keep you up to date. I will let you know. And then you just join in. And that should solve that, right? First time seeing you lose on AA. I tried to go for something that isn't Radiance, which in the current AA metagame is just dumb, because Radiance is dumb, because it's like the most broken shit. It is so stupid, it is just not even fun. So... yeah, look at this. Dead. What's up? Got him too. Ooh, I'm so good at this game. I bought a Radiance and now I'm killing things. Oh my god. I'm so good. God, this is dumb. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit frustrated with this bullshit because it's just really stupid. And look at this. We're getting wrecked. I bought a Radiance and now I'm doing the wrecking. Like, it's just not that hard. The final duel will always be 5 versus 5, probably. I think that's the best way to do it, yes. And that's actually something I've been thinking about a lot too. Like, I don't really know exactly how I want to make the duels, you know? What do you think of the following, right? Let me push 1 if you think this is a good idea, push 2 if it's a bad idea. And then I'll let the people in the video know what the response was. But, you know how the duels are always, you know, 2 versus 2 or 3 versus 3 and all of that? What if we still keep that, right? But if it's a 3 versus 3 duel, then instead of the other 2 people waiting, it's also a 2 versus 2 duel, right? It's also a 2 versus 2 duel. If it's a 4 versus 4 duel, it's also a 1 versus 1. And if it's a 5 versus 5, then it's just a 5 versus 5. Right? But this way everybody always gets to fight. But we still have the variety of things. You know, I think that might make it more fun. Than, you know, like, who wants to go into a duel and then be like, oh, I don't get to fight. Yay! This way everybody always gets to fight, but we still get to keep the 3 versus 3 and 2 versus 2 aspect and such. And you know, like I know right now in this Angel Arena, if you in a duel, there's the whole like well, somebody was dead, so no they can't fight. Oh fuck it, that's easily fixed. Just resurrect them before the duel, right? Like just resurrect them. And what if both sides win? Right? Well, then the reward is just both sides get the same. Right? Both sides get the same reward in that scenario. Sick! Right? Isn't that good? But if only one side wins, well then, instead of making that side gain twice the reward, well, maybe how about the other side just doesn't, right? So the only way your side gets like a significant reward over the other one is if both teams win the duel. I'm not sure about that, actually. Not sure if that's a good idea. But yeah, I don't know. So that's kind of my thought process, you know? I think, but yeah, it seems like people generally like it. So you can 1 versus 1 versus 1 versus 1. No. Only 2 duels, right? We don't want too many arenas. That would just turn it into a mess, right? But we could have 2 arenas, and if it's a 3 versus 3, then it's also 2 versus 2. And if it's a 1 versus 1, it's also 4 versus 4. And that's it. Alright, those are really, like, and it's a 5 versus 5, and it's also 0 versus 0. But that's really those are the only possible outcomes. So, where are these people? Are they, like, fighting bosses or something? Another feature I actually want to add, which I think is just kind of something funny I want to put into the game, is I want to give people the option to just duel, as in just ask for a duel. Right? Like just decide, hey, I want to duel you. Why did I just die? Alright. But right, I want people to just challenge each other and be able, you know, like how sometimes you end up talking shit and then somebody's like, yeah, 1v1 me, right, let's fight at the Roshan pit. Well, why not make that an option? Why not make it so you can actually 1 versus 1 somebody? We got an arena for duels anyway. Right, so somebody can challenge each other to a duel and then those motherfuckers can take it into the arena and duke it out there. I think that's a funny idea. I'm not sure if that's gonna make it into the game. I just think it's funny. Alright. Let's get these guys. I just think that's something that would be kind of cute. Right? But again, not like a main feature of the game. Just something that, like, I want to add into it. You know what? You can say whatever you want about Pin My Peon, right? Pin My Peon had lots of flaws. It wasn't a great game mode. And I'll be the first to admit that. It wasn't fantastic. However, Pin My Peon had one thing, and that was polish. Right? Pin My Peon was a very, very polished game mode. And that is because that is something I value a lot. This is something I was actively pushing for. Noya cares a lot about that as well, right? So both of us, we're like super into making sure this is a nice, polished game. And this is really stupid. Okay, this is like one of the dumbest fights ever. But he's dead, so that's good. Hello. Cool, double kill. Easy game. Oh, man. I kind of want the boss kill ever. Like, is that possible? Alright. But Pin My Peon, I think, was a very polished game mode. Very polished. And that is something I want to have for Angel Arena All-Stars as well. That's why I have so many people working on it. That's why I'm making such a big deal out of it. You know, I want it to be polished. Because that's something I value a lot. No, that sucked. Fucking Spectre. Something I remembered I wanted to ask. If heroes are going to be mostly vanilla and items are going to mostly just be upgrades, how are non-team coders supposed to contribute? It doesn't really seem like there's anything you can really just contribute in terms of code with those types of deals. Yes. I don't know what... you pretty much have it figured out. I mean, there isn't. This is kind of like, I guess, just the situation we're in though, right? Like, we have a very strong coding team. And because of that, there just isn't really much we need from the outside in terms of coding. There just isn't. And there's not really a way around that, even though we are keeping it open source and such. I honestly can't tell you something that we like desperately need you to accomplish from the outside, right? So that's really just, yeah. I mean, that kind of sucks, but like it's. I feel like that is the same kind of issue that people have with the loading screens, where Dota just loads so quickly now that you never get to see the loading screen, and it's just like on the one hand, loading screens. On the other, the game now loads so fucking quickly, I can't, that's why I don't get loading screens. I don't know if that's a bad thing, right? So, but yeah, it's just kind of how it's gonna be. Sorry, man. You previously mentioned how if the... Oh shit, I need to make sure I don't die here. You previously mentioned if the game carries on for a long period of time, you would decrease the amount of time between duels. Are you still planning on doing this, and can you elaborate? I still plan on doing this, although it is something that we'll have to wait and see until we actually get into the game. Because it is, you know, our game is going to be very different from this one. And as such, we'll just have to wait and see. Alright, but my current plan is that, yes, I still want to do that, because it just seems reasonable to me. It seems sensible. Oh, there's the Spectre again. Fun. Okay, do that. I like Joe Black. Look at this shit. Just not dying. Isn't that nice? Alright. Getting there in terms of the kill too. Alright. Angel's Blood, yes. Icarus. Well, the rest of this sucks. Guess I'm gonna take an Angel's Sword. It's not really that relevant. Yeah. Another idea I actually had for a boss was a boss that copies the items of whoever is attacking him. Right? So like every 10 seconds or so, the boss copies the item set of the next person to attack him. I think the game is over. No? Just lagging. Right, I think that would be a cool idea. Oh, he's got a pet. Oh, that's kind of funny. Oh, poor guy. Oh man, I deal no damage to this thing. I deal no damage to that thing. But yeah, you know, I think that might be kind of a fun idea. Oh, hello, Mr. Wolf. Oh, you don't mind me just being here. Alright, maybe you do. Oh, man. What are your current item upgrade thoughts? Well, we're gonna have to have 2 ether lenses combined into ether glasses. So that's really the top priority, I think. Let's get these 2. Can I please shop? Thank you. Appreciate it. Actually, you go in here, 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 you stay there. Okay, good. There's the Earthshaker. Let's see what we can do here. Put this down. I can show you guys like an older Angel Arena version if you guys want to see that. You'll see it's actually quite different from what we have. Looks really, really, really different. It's Quite cool though. I think it's an interesting thing to take a look at. Definitely interesting. 2 silver edges is silver scissors. Absolutely. I support this. I support the silver scissors and everything they stand for. God, is this game gonna be over soon? I guess really should end. I mean, we lost. There's no coming back. They radianced us down too hard. Go ahead and heal up. Should have just gone for like radiance to begin with. Upgraded Tango? Okay, I don't know about that. Gotta be honest with you. I don't really see much point to upgrading the consumables. Oh shit, taking too much damage. Nice here. Alright, got him. Still traded 1 for 1 on that one, but hey. How will you handle the talents? Oh, this very much depends. Is the game over? Yeah, alright. This very much depends on how we can modify the talents, and that's something we still have to figure out. But yeah, talents are something that the way we're gonna treat it depends a lot on how we can change the talents, right? But yeah, anyway, so this is kind of like the first, like, just a bunch of thoughts and questions answered about Angel Arena All-Stars. If you have any more, if you enjoyed this video, you know, just leave that down below in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.